You believe the fridge keeps you healthy? The truth is, it may be silently destroying your immune system, one piece of fruit at a time. Not because you're eating wrong, but because you're storing it wrong. And the consequences? Slow, silent, and far more lasting than you think. Every year, nearly 3,000 older Americans die from foodborne illnesses, not because they eat recklessly, but because they trust the fridge to keep things safe. But here's the alarming truth. Many everyday fruits, vegetables, and common foods are silently transforming in the cold, losing nutrients, developing harmful toxins, and even becoming breeding grounds for deadly bacteria. If you're over 60, your body no longer has the same defenses it once did. A single fall can break a hip. And one wrong bite, it can send you straight to the hospital. What makes it worse is, these food mistakes have been misunderstood for decades. Stay with us until the end of this video. What you're about to learn could change the way you store food forever, or even more importantly, save your life. How old are you now? 60? 70? Maybe more? Whatever your age, one thing's for sure. Your body no longer handles food the way it did when you were 30 or 40. Your immune system is slower, your digestion is more sensitive, and that's exactly why you need to be extra cautious about what fruits you put in the fridge. Starting with pineapple. Pineapple is a fantastic tropical fruit, sweet, rich in enzymes, and packed with bromelain, which supports digestion, reduces joint inflammation, and improves protein absorption. But only if you store it correctly. When you place a whole pineapple in the refrigerator, especially before it's fully ripe, you're unknowingly triggering cold degradation. Low temperatures disrupt the fruit's natural enzymes, causing bromelain to break down faster. The result? Pineapple loses most of its digestive benefits, something seniors desperately need, especially after a heavy meal. And it doesn't stop there. Cold pineapple often goes enzyme dull, meaning its natural sweetness fades, replaced by a sour, watery, bland taste. The skin may darken, and the flesh turns mushy, losing that crisp, juicy bite that makes pineapple so refreshing. Worse still, storing cut pineapple in the fridge without sealing it properly can be dangerous. Pineapple is high in sugar, a perfect breeding ground for bacteria, especially those that cause stomach upset in older adults. One old slice might not bother a 25-year-old, but for someone in their 70s with a sensitive gut, that could be a 2 a.m. emergency room visit waiting to happen. So how should you store pineapple? If it's unripe, leave it at room temperature until it becomes fragrant. Once peeled and cut, store in an airtight container and eat within 24-48 hours. Never keep it too long in the fridge. Don't eat if it feels slimy, smells fermented, or tastes oddly sour. You deserve a healthy, comfortable digestive system at any age. And it all starts with how you treat a single pineapple. If you thought pineapple was the only surprise, just wait until we talk about the next fruit, a superfood adored by older Americans, the avocado. Eleanor, 68, from Santa Fe, used to start every morning with a slice of toast topped with mashed avocado and a few tomato slices. "I thought of it as my natural heart medicine," she said. That is, until her doctor asked her to check her liver enzymes and blood pressure, because what she was eating wasn't really avocado anymore. Why? Eleanor had a habit of putting all her freshly bought green avocados straight into the fridge, thinking it would help them last longer. But what she, and so many others, didn't realize is unripe avocados stop ripening when exposed to cold. The enzymes shut down, cell structures become unstable, and the result is an avocado that never ripens properly. Instead, it turns rubbery, flavorless, or even grayish inside. If you've ever sliced into an avocado only to find it lacking that creamy, nutty taste, replaced with something dry, bland, and maybe even slightly bitter, then you've likely experienced exactly what Eleanor did. For older adults, avocados are a rich source of healthy fats and potassium, supporting heart health, blood pressure regulation, and memory. But when ripened the wrong way, those benefits may disappear without you even knowing it. So how should you store avocados the right way? Leave them at room temperature until they soften gently to the touch. Once ripe, you can refrigerate them for 1 to 2 days if you're not ready to use them. Never refrigerate green, unripe avocados, and don't cut into them unless you plan to eat them immediately, or they'll brown quickly from oxidation. Avocados can be a powerful ally for your heart and brain, but only if you treat them right. What about you? What's your favorite fruit now that you're over 60? Drop the name of your favorite fruit in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Hello, I'm Dr. Samuel Hartley, a clinical nutritionist with over 2 decades of experience working with older adults at care centers across Texas and Arizona. If you're over the age of 60, what I'm about to share about watermelon may surprise you, and it could change the way you store this seemingly harmless fruit. Watermelon is one of the most hydrating and antioxidant-rich fruits, especially high in lycopene and beta-carotene, 2 compounds that are essential for eye health, heart protection, and slowing down cellular aging. However, when you store a whole, uncut watermelon in the refrigerator, studies have shown that its lycopene content can drop by up to 40% in just a few days. Why? Because cold temperatures slow down the fruit's natural enzymatic activity, interrupting the preservation of antioxidants. One of my patients, Ruth, age 74, came in for a checkup with mild inflammation markers and mentioned that her watermelon just doesn't taste as sweet or crisp anymore. After asking a few questions, I found out that she always puts her newly bought watermelons directly into the fridge to keep them fresh. What she didn't realize was that this simple habit was stripping the fruit of its nutritional power. So what's the right way to store watermelon? Uncut watermelons should be kept at room temperature, away from direct sunlight. Only refrigerate them after cutting, and always seal the slices in airtight containers or wrap them properly to avoid bacterial growth. This matters even more for older adults, especially those following antioxidant-rich diets. Preserving the nutrients in fruits like watermelon can make a noticeable difference in daily well-being. Watermelon, when stored correctly, offers hydration, sweetness, and powerful health benefits. But if you let cold temperatures get to it too soon, you may just be left with soggy slices and missed opportunities. Do you usually keep your whole watermelons in the fridge? Share your habits with us in the comments. And don't forget to tell us your favorite fruit, too. And if you thought watermelon was the only victim of the cold, take a closer look at that bunch of bananas sitting in your fridge. Bananas, a familiar, nutritious, and easy-to-digest fruit, especially loved by older adults for their high potassium content and digestive benefits. But because they're so familiar, many people have been storing them the wrong way for years without realizing it. Have you ever placed bananas in the fridge right after buying them, only to find the skin turning dark and the inside going mushy with a strange metallic taste? It's not because the bananas are bad or low quality. It's because you've completely shut down the natural ripening enzymes. Bananas are tropical fruits and highly sensitive to cold. When you refrigerate them while they're still green or just barely ripe, the ripening process stops abruptly. As a result, bananas don't ripen evenly, lose their flavor, and their antioxidants like dopamine and catechin begin to break down. For seniors, eating cold, unripe bananas can lead to bloating, indigestion, and mild stomach discomfort. And few people ever trace it back to the fridge. Worse still, if the bananas are overripe and left in a damp, cold environment for too long, mold can begin to develop around the stem and peel, increasing the risk of exposure to fungal toxins, something no one wants, especially with a weakened immune system. So if you truly love bananas and rely on them to boost potassium, lower blood pressure, or combat oxidative stress, treat them the right way. Store at room temperature in a dry, well-ventilated area, ideally hanging or in a fruit bowl. If they're overripe and you can't eat them in time, peel, slice, and freeze them in airtight containers. Never put green bananas in the fridge. And don't assume that blackened skins are always normal. But bananas aren't the only misunderstood fruit. There's another one, fragrant, juicy, golden, that loses all of its signature taste and nutrients when chilled, the mango. If bananas are the silent victims of cold, then mangoes, with their golden skin and irresistible aroma, are the perfect example of how refrigeration can strip a fruit of its very soul. That's no exaggeration. If you've ever bitten into a mango that was chilled too soon, you know the disappointment. A bland, watery, lifeless piece of fruit that bears no resemblance to the tropical sweetness you expected. Mangoes are tropical fruits, highly sensitive to cold temperatures. When you refrigerate a mango that's still green or not fully ripe, the natural ripening process comes to a halt. Enzymes like amylase and lactase, which develop the fruit's sweetness and aroma, shut down, leaving the mango stunted in both flavor and fragrance. But this isn't just about taste. Premature refrigeration also affects the nutritional value. Mangoes are rich in vitamin C, but this vitamin breaks down more rapidly in cold temperatures, especially if the fruit is stored for too long or has been bruised beforehand. For older adults, losing that natural vitamin C means weaker immunity, slower recovery from illness, and poor skin, gum, and bone health. Then there's the texture. Refrigeration disrupts the mango's cell structure, causing the flesh to turn mushy, watery, and prone to spoilage. If a mango has been peeled or sliced and placed in the fridge without a proper seal, the risk of contamination and bacterial growth increases significantly. So if you want to truly enjoy a mango, soft, juicy, and bursting with flavor, let it ripen naturally at room temperature. Once fully ripe, it can be placed in the fridge for a day or two if you plan to eat it soon. But never chill an unripe mango out of impatience, because one blast of cold can steal everything that makes a mango magical. Did you know there's a fruit that looks plump and soft on the outside, but shrivels like a frostbitten flower the moment it's exposed to cold? We're talking about the peach, often called summer's gift across states like Georgia, South Carolina, and California. For older adults, peaches aren't just a sweet treat. They're a natural source of vitamin C, fiber, and antioxidants that support digestion, protect the skin, and slow down cellular aging. But unfortunately, many people unknowingly destroy all of that just by refrigerating peaches too early. When a peach is still firm and unripe, Its delicate fuzzy skin is guarding a complex internal process, the natural conversion of starches into sugars. But the moment you place an unripe peach into the fridge, that process comes to a complete halt. What you end up with is a peach that's soft on the outside, but dry and mealy on the inside, lacking sweetness, fragrance, and sometimes leaving a slightly bitter aftertaste. And it's not just about flavor. Premature refrigeration causes peaches to lose significant amounts of vitamin C and polyphenols, compounds known to reduce inflammation, support heart health, and even lower cancer risk. If you've ever taken a bite of a peach that seemed watery, dull, or oddly mushy, chances are you've tasted the result of temperature shock, when the peach's internal cells break down due to sudden changes in temperature. So what's the right way to store peaches? Keep them at room temperature until they give off a strong aroma and feel slightly soft to the touch. Once fully ripe, you can refrigerate them for 1 to 2 days if needed, but don't leave them cold for long. Avoid washing them before storage. Excess moisture promotes mold. Peaches demand patience, and the reward is a juicy, sweet, and tender bite that's worth the wait. And if you've been thinking only fresh fruit is sensitive to cold, wait until you hear what the fridge can do to pear. I used to think my mom was just being picky with age when she said pears from the fridge tasted strange. That is, until I saw her take a still firm pear out of the fridge, leave it on the counter, and a few days later, bite into it with a satisfied smile. That's when I realized pears need time to become perfect, and the fridge can kill that process. Pears are one of those fruits that continue to ripen after they're picked, a process called post-harvest ripening. But like peaches, if you rush and toss unripe pears into the fridge, you're essentially freezing that process in place. The outside may soften, but the inside remains hard, dry, and lacking the signature sweetness. For older adults like my mom, who enjoy pears as a light, refreshing, and easy-to-digest snack, a falsely ripe pear turns that experience into a letdown and can even lead to bloating or mild stomach discomfort. What's more, when pears ripen improperly in cold storage, their cell structure doesn't fully develop. This means you lose out on key nutrients like soluble fiber and natural antioxidants like flavonoids, which are especially valuable for digestion and heart health in older age. I still regret the time I bought a big bag of pears and threw them all into the fridge. When I took them out days later, they were soft on the outside, but bland, mushy, and disappointing on the inside, like a pear left out in the cold. My mom's advice? Let green pears ripen slowly at room temperature, away from direct sunlight. Once they're soft and fragrant, you can chill them for 1 to 2 days, but eat them quickly. Be patient. The best pears are the ones you wait for. If you've ever bitten into an unripe persimmon and felt that dry, puckering sensation on your tongue, then you already understand why this fruit is the perfect reminder of everything we've just discussed. Persimmons can be sweet, soft, and luxurious, or they can be an unexpectedly unpleasant experience, all depending on how you store them. Among all the fruits that should never be refrigerated too soon, persimmons stand as a symbol. Like bananas, mangoes, pears, or peaches, they require time to ripen naturally, and cold temperatures can destroy that process. Astringent persimmons, like the Hachiya variety, contain high levels of tannins. If they're placed in the fridge before fully ripening, the enzymes that break down these tannins shut down, and the fruit never reaches its full sweetness. What you get is a persimmon that looks ripe, but tastes bitter, dry, and completely stripped of its nutritional value. Even worse, cold storage damages the cellular structure of persimmons, causing the flesh to become mushy, watery, and prone to spoilage or fermentation if left too long. For older adults with sensitive digestion, a poorly ripened persimmon can cause bloating, discomfort, and rob them of the valuable antioxidants this fruit normally provides. So what's the right way to handle persimmons? Let them ripen at room temperature until they become very soft to the touch. Only refrigerate them once fully ripe, and even then, handle them gently. If sliced in advance, store in an airtight container and consume within 24-48 hours. Persimmons teach us that not everything lasts longer in the fridge. Sometimes rushing the process steals away the flavor, the nutrients, and the simple joy of eating fruit the way nature intended. Are you storing your fruit in a way your body truly deserves? Share your storage habits with us, and let us know which fruit you feel the most connected to in the comments below. A long life isn't just about how many years you live. It's about living well, living joyfully, and knowing how to protect yourself through the smallest everyday choices, like how you store your fruit. The refrigerator is a wonderful tool, but when used incorrectly, it can silently strip away flavor, nutrition, and sometimes the very health you've worked so hard to preserve over the years. From pineapple, avocado, watermelon, banana, mango, peach, pear, to persimmon. Each fruit has its own rhythm. Learning to listen to the needs of each fruit is also a way of listening to your body. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button to support our team. Share this video with your loved ones, especially the seniors in your life who deserve this knowledge. Subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on important health content. And be sure to turn on the notification bell to stay updated the moment we release new videos. Thank you for watching. Your health is a gift, and it deserves to be honored every single day.